A simple distillation is suitable if you're trying to purify a liquid from some non-volatile component like a solid contaminant, but if you're attempting to separate a mixture of two liquids, then you need to use a fractional distillation. And the difference is that a fractional distillation uses a fractionating column, and this is simply a column which provides a lot of surface area, and as the vapors rise from our distillation flask, they're going to condense on the surface area and then re-vaporize and condense and re-vaporize and condense. And what you're going to achieve is a series of simple distillations. Each time that distillation occurs, that evaporation occurs, you are enriching your liquid in the more volatile component. So eventually, by the time it reaches the top of the fractionating column, you'll have a pure liquid and it'll be successfully separated from the other liquid. This is packed with just paper clips. You can use other packing material like glass beads or copper sponge. There are also fractionating columns that are available that have glass fingers built right into the column. This is called a Vigroux column. And so let's assemble the distillation apparatus. We're going to start the same way, and we'll begin with the liquid being distilled. We're going to attach that round bottom securely with a clamp. That's very important to start our apparatus that way. And it's already got a boiling chip in there. Next we will add our fractionating column, and it's probably a good idea to clamp this as well because it adds some weight and it just makes our whole entire apparatus a little more secure. Also notice you want to try and be as vertical as possible with the positioning of the fractionating column. If it's at an angle or tilted somehow, then your vapors are going to have a tendency to reflux. In other words, distill and condense and just drip back down, and the vapors are going to have a harder time reaching the top and eventually distilling over. So try and keep it as vertical as possible. You may need to adjust your clamps a bit for that. Now I can put on my distilling head and then my thermometer with my thermometer adapter. Again, making sure that my thermometer bulb is below the arm, the takeoff arm for the condenser, so my vapors will definitely condense there and I'll get an accurate temperature. Notice now, by the addition of this fractionating column, my entire apparatus, my condenser is going to be a lot higher, and so I'm probably going to need a third ring stand here because my collection flask will probably need to be elevated so it can be close to the condenser. So I already have the 3 ring stands ready to go. Okay, now I can condense I can add my water condenser, and again, this is a little tricky, so I'm going to loosen the clamp to make sure I can get a really good connection with my ground glass joints, and once that's in the proper position at the proper angle, then I'm going to tighten my clamp and get a good connection. Okay, a lot of moving parts with the fractional distillation apparatus. So this is really important that once you make sure your condenser is secure, you go back and you double check these joints and make sure that you have a nice secure connection with the ground glass pieces, both here and here. Okay, now we come back to our adapter, which redirects our distillate to the collection flask, and I just used a ring here and just a gauze pad as a way to, just give me some support for my Erlenmeyer flask, or again, I could use a round bottom here and maybe use this to support an ice bath, something like that along the way. And finally, I can use a ring to secure my heating mantle. Once I turn on the water, I'm ready to begin my distillation.